Hello everyone, this is a guide on Quickness Scrapper that the new patch introduced to us. This is not an optimal guide, but just to show how the build works to people that are curious about it. By that I mean we will not be focusing on how high the damage can be, but rather just how high the quickness output can be. They're both a DPS and heal variant. We'll be using DPS variant to explain the build, and I'll cover the heal variant a little bit towards the end. Additionally, I'll also show how an engineer and scrapper works. A little bit about how engineer works. You have your weapon skills, you have your healing skill, 3 utilities, and an elite. Additionally, you have tool belt skills, which are skills that correspond to what's in here. So if I switch my healing skill, you get a tool belt skill. I switch my healing skill again, a different tool belt skill, and that applies to everything. A tool belt skill, another tool belt skill, another tool belt skill. I can switch this around, something else comes up there. I take an elite, I get a tool belt skill based on it. This is something to keep in mind. And additionally, when you go for one of the elite specialization, which is Hollowsmith or Scrapper, other than your new weapon choice and some extra skills, you also change your F5 skill. It will not correspond to your elite anymore. So if you're Hollowsmith, you're stuck to Photon Forge. If you're Scrapper, you'll only get function gyro there, and it will not correspond to this. It will not change anymore. Now about Scrapper, which we'll be talking about, you have access to gyros, and what gyros do, they have a function of their own, and they put down a field or a finisher. So this is a heal skill. It puts down a water field, heals, pulses healing. This one gives barrier, lightning field. This one's a wall finisher, and the other gyros, all of them have a field and a purpose. This one stealths up. This one gives might, damage, and launches people, and then you have another one that cleanses and puts down a light field. But we'll get into detail about that. For the build, we'll be going for as much boon duration as possible. 100 is the maximum, so we'll go for a very high concentration to meet this, but not go too high so we're wasting concentration. So I'll be going for full diviners except one leg piece, which is berserkers. So I'll just show it here. It's full diviners, and then we have back runes. This is to guarantee fury and swiftness for your subgroup in case a druid is not there. And then you have your force and concentration sigil for some damage and boon duration. We'll be going with hammer since it's the best damage output for scrapper. For traits, we will be going for standard DPS engineer. Every power DPS engineer uses this build. It's just damage modifier, ferocity, damage modifier, doesn't matter. Some more damage modifiers, or sorry, ferocity, crit chance, and doesn't matter. This we'll ignore for now. I'll explain on the next part. Okay, we're gonna see how the magic actually works. So this is your unfilled scrapper trait line. Our goal is to get quickness, and look at this trait line. This is what we're going to use. Every time you give super speed, you give them quickness. Now this is affected by your boon duration. It's 4 seconds of quickness every time you give super speed. This is because we have 100% boon duration. Now if you go to a build that has 0% boon duration, it's going to be halved. You just get 2 seconds every time, which is not enough. So we'll go back to this. And then every time you give super speed to a target, which means it has to be to an ally for them to get it. So you only have 2 skills that do that normally, which is if you take blast gyro, you get a tool belt, and then if you take elixir U, you get a tool belt. These both give super speed to your ally. So go close to our friend here, press F2, get super speed, you get quickness. Similarly, this one I toss it on them, they get super speed, which gives them quickness. But this is not enough. Look at the cooldowns on them, 30 and 40 seconds. So what we're gonna do is check out the other options here. This is just a damage modifier. Pick this, doesn't matter. This and this do matter. This gives access to F5 skill, which will be useful in a second. This one makes your heal skill give super speed. So let's say I take a heal skill, and then when I press it, I'm gonna give 5 seconds of super speed, so which is F1 in this case. I go close, There's F1, and that's one source. So, which is still not enough. So we pick this trait. What this does is it upgrades all our gyros. So we have 6 gyros. There's 1 gyro here, and then 4 gyros, and an elite gyro. Out of this, I'm gonna pick shredder, plus gyro, and then we'll go for bulwark for now. We are not taking this because this is not very useful on all the bosses. So what this trait did is every time you use a gyro, and let it do its thing. So right now it says 5 pulses. Or check this for example. It's a 6-second shredder gyro. What it does is when it finishes shredding, it's gonna give super speed. So I press my shredder gyro. It's doing its thing. And when it ends, you'll be getting super speed. You got it, and then you got quickness. There's a bit of delay, obviously, because they have to do their thing first, and then it gives super speed. But if you want to give it to an ally, they have to be in range. So you see that circle, 360 range, they got super speed, and then that gave them quickness. That's the base of this build. So all your 5 gyros here are gonna give super speed if you're in range, that is 360 range. So look at, I used a bunch of gyros now. Super speed, quickness, super speed, quickness. Do it again. Some more quickness. That's how this build works. Additionally, you also have your F5 gets upgraded into a super speed source because of this trait. So if I press this on our friend, he gets some more super speed that turns into quickness. And then this trait makes your healing skill give super speed, which I just showed you. But you just go next to your friend, press your heal skill. Now you got quickness instantly because of this trait, and then it comes again because of that trait. So this is instant, and then you get after the well ends, you give another super speed. So it's like 8 seconds of quickness from one skill, 2 super speed sources. So right now we have 1, 2, 2 from here, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 super speed sources, which is 32 seconds of quickness. And now we have alacrity on us, so look how easy it is to keep up just by spamming these buttons out of cooldown. Make sure to put F5 on your friend. I cancelled that, but you get the idea. Look how overkill it is. It's a lot of quickness. And then there's around 18 seconds left. I got my skills back. I just overkill. But that's how the build works. You don't even need a boss. You just AFK the corner with alacrity. You don't need alacrity either, but it's just overkill, and you get the idea. And if you do want to hit the boss and do some damage, use your hammer 1, hammer 2, hammer 5. Just 1, 2, and 5. This is a lot of damage, and use your F4 as well. Okay, now we're not fixed to these utilities. You have options right now. I would recommend keeping these 3 always on because your blast shadow gives 2 sources of super speed. One here, second one here. Shredder gyro is a lot of damage, so you don't want to drop it. And then healing is 2 sources, you don't want to drop this. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sources already. These 2 are up to you. Now you want to change sneak gyro if you have a condition deadeye, because it can interrupt with their rotation. So I would recommend for going for supply crate or more target if you feel like trolling. Supply crate is good damage and a big CC, or you can take more target, and let's say you're doing demos CM, or sorry, range demos, you can just chill back here giving quick tips to your gang. Make sure to F5 on you, just spam everything, and then you're like ranging the boss. That's more targets. You shouldn't be doing it, but if you want to. Otherwise, if you don't have a candidate, I might as well just stay sneak gyro for maximum quickness uptime. Similarly, bulwark gyro. What it brings is you have a stability source from it. It's a 5-man stability. Since your boon duration is high, it gives 12 seconds. So just press this. You and your friend get stability. 3 stacks of it. And if you press this itself, be careful. It shares damage from your ally. So 4 of your party members, they're gonna transfer 35% of their damage to you. or 5 of them, sorry, they transfer 35% of the damage. So if there's some hard hitting mechanic and you press this, you're gonna get one shot. So be careful when using this. And then you can switch to Purge Gyro if you need the cleanse from this. Let's say you're doing Slaughtosaur and the boss shakes, it's gonna put a lot of condies. What you could do is place your Purge Gyro. It cleanses 5 pulses of 1 condi removal each. But what's better is if you club these two skills. You put Shatter Gyro with Purge, so it's shooting out cleansing bolts. Because this is a world finisher, this is a light field. They combine together, so on top of the cleanse from this, you're also shooting out cleansing bolts and help a lot with cleanse. And if you struggle with CC, you can always take Battering Ram. That gives you a daze there, launches here, 2 charges. But feel free to mess around. I would recommend keeping this, and here F5 you can always use. So that should be more than enough quickness uptime. This and this can be changed. You could also take Bomb Kit if you want a damage increase. What's different is instead of camping Hammer, you're gonna camp your Bomb and then press 1, 1, 1 and 2 out of cooldown, because that'll guarantee you have maximum stacks of Explosive Temper, which is higher damage. But this is up to you. You can explore the build, but this is how it works. So if you just want a safe build until you know how it works, this should be good for you. Those are your traits, gyros, build. I've shown you already. Full diviners with back runes, but you have a berserker leg piece because we're overcapping. That's the DPS variant. Now to quickly cover the Heal Scrapper variant. Your build instead of Diviner, you'll be using full Harriers with Monk runes. These are incorrect weapons, but you should be using Harrier with concentration and transference. I will add the more optimal version in the description. So it's full Harrier, and then you have 100% boon duration with a decent amount of healing power. Traits could be this gives some extra protection, healing. This is not so useful, but when you cleanse, you give boons basically. And when you cleanse, you give regen. This is very strong. It's healing modifier. This is important because that's gyro super speed, healing super speed, F5, and then when you give super speed, you give quickness. What's different about this build is you'll be taking shield and pistol because you don't have any other option. The advantage of the shield is because of this trait. I press my 4 twice or 5 twice, I'm giving some extra protection. But otherwise, other than coming out to give protection, you should just sit on your medkit. The build is the same as before. You're gonna press all your gyros, F3, F5, and then your F1 for the super speed proc from this. And other than that, you're just gonna spray on your friends for healing. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's a lot of healing. And then 2 is burst healing. You want to go inside the hitbox, press 2, burst heals them. Press 3 to cleanse, and it's a water field. 4 is a bit of AoE burst heal. 5 is a blast and gives some boons. So you can club 3 and 5, water plus blast, or 5 and a light field for some extra cleanse. You get the idea. You want to go out only to use your protection sources, and then just camp medkit and basically press all your super speed buttons. Simple as that. But you cannot use this as a replacement to a broken off healer currently, like a heal scourge or a heal tempest. But this can be quite a decent alternative. If your team is decent, you can get away with this build as an off healer. But if it's a newer group, I would recommend not playing this as your off healer. That wasn't a benchmark, it was just me spamming buttons out of cooldown, or it wasn't even in proper order, or it wasn't any order, but that's the build. You just spam your super speed sources, press 1, 2, 5, and then your F4 for damage. Um, and you do a decent amount of damage, around 15,000, by just spamming buttons. You don't even have to finish your auto attack chains. So you could consider this as an alternative quickness source. Hope this video helped.